The Play's the Thing with Judy Sleed. Special guest, Sarabelle Prince. Now here's Judy.
And right you are, I am here with Sarabelle Prince, and her name is befitting the lady. She's so beautiful, vivacious, and she's teaching everybody to be like her, and me, of course. First, I'm going to have to say that I love your hairdo, your haircut, and I'm sure a lot of people who are looking at you say, where did you get that haircut?
This haircut I got from a wonderful beauty salon in Montauk. It's very exciting to drive there. It's called The Ends, which is hair ends, but also because Montauk is the end.
Oh, that's right.
And the beautician's name is Rose. And she really transformed me the first time I went in there with my long, straight, hair. She just made me come alive.
Striking, looks great. But let us talk about your line that while you came here, you said you teach people how to do journals.
Yes.
Now that's a very different type of different type of way of teaching. And also, did you make this up yourself?
No, journaling's been around. The first record we have of it is the 11th century.
I didn't mean that. Okay, I deserve that. Okay, but like to teach it.
I guess I just fell into it. The journal has been such a source of strength and comfort and creativity for me that there comes a point when keeping a journal after a period of time, it's almost as though once things are written, then I want them to be shared. I'm detached from what I wrote a month ago. I really don't even care who reads it or what. And it's just a vehicle. Many people that keep journals say they have that same experience where in their solitude, and even solitude over years and decades, there comes a point where they want to share. And the sharing of it within a journal class is a very, very powerful experience.
I mean, in the class where you do this, people read out loud what
if they choose
written?
to. If they choose to.
And by listening, other people listening to it will benefit from this?
It does something. It's very powerful to read your words from your heart that you've written out loud with the support of a group. Even myself, sometimes I'll pick up a passage from 10 years ago, and by the time I finish it, I can't believe it. It's brought tears to my eyes because...
Something that you had written?
Yeah, and thought I was totally detached from. So that can happen, but you can also wind up laughing your head off, too.
Yes. I know. I write a lot. I mean, not lately, but I had been, and I always felt uneasy reading what I had written.
That's very interesting. Can you get in touch with what you think that might be that caused that response?
I don't know. I would say, well, go ahead, you read it. You read it. Well, anyway, what you do in your class is, how big is your class, first of all?
Well, the group varies. Sometimes it could be one person, which was my first class, and that was thrilling with a 16-year-old girl. And sometimes it's 5 people, 10 people, 15 people. I find that a smaller group, though, does breed more intimacy, but it's different. Every group creates the energy and the atmosphere, the people that are in the class.
Well, I would say that the class is about an hour, 2 hours, and then you do the work right there in the class?
Generally, the class is at least an hour and a half. We start off with readings and audio material, and every class is a 15-minute clip from a film. I show that for several reasons, to show the variety of how journaling can be used, whether it's Einstein keeping his diaries and coming to his scientific, scientific, theories, whether it's Aeneas Nin, who's kept diaries, and there's actual documentary on her.
Who's that?
Her name is Aeneas Nin, and she's probably one of the most prolific journal keepers. Unfortunately, the books that she's known for were commercial. They were published to make money, and they had this, in those days, back in the 30s, sexual connotation. But her actual diaries about the writing process and her circle of friends at the time were mostly artists and writers and actors, and they all use journaling too. Your show is about theater, so it's nice that we're beginning to move in that direction.
Well, it is. A lot of things are. Well, my show is the play is the thing, but a lot of things would be included in a play. Could do a lot of things playing. So it's a very wide range of things. And I was told that, I could invite other people than thespians on my show, because a lot of interesting people there are, including yourself.
Thank you.
And I see that you have all these lists of things here of, are these about movies?
Well,
This
is a movie list of some of the movies that we've seen in the journal workshops. One of them, called United Tastes of America, is a documentary of a woman who goes across the United States to discover different foods. And when she gets to Minneapolis, there's a German family where the grandmother, I'd say the grandmother is well into her 90s, and she's kept in her recipe book, which is a family recipe book, and a wonderful thing, because when people sometimes pass on, they take their recipes with them, and families wish they had that recipe. Well, she kept this was her Bible, her recipe book, but she would also indicate who got, one of her sons got arrested for something stupid, a grandson graduated and got honors. So on the sides of her stained cookbook, she also kept in the margin a recording of what was going on in the family, and that becomes a treasure to a family down the road, as well as a chronicle of actual information. Another movie is The Diary of a Lost Girl. That's by G.W. Griffiths, and it's a silent film.
G.W. Griffiths. Lillian Gish. The Gish sisters worked for him, and I remember I read the biography of Lillian Gish, and she talks a great deal about this Griffith fella.
It's in black and white, of course, and that diary, it's very metaphysical, but does show the traditional writing secrets in the diary and what happens when that confidence is defiled by a family that breaks it open. So it's a wonderful movie. I really recommend that.
Well, came to mind that when you were talking about recipes, and sometimes people don't leave it for us, because I really feel that it's because they just don't know. They just make it up. And because there was this one recipe that it was a Linzer cookies. My my cousin came over from Hungary, and I took her in. I helped her out because it was after the revolution. They didn't have a home, and she made a wonderful dinner one night, and with this pastry, And I said, how did you make this so good? She said, okay, here. And she gave me a pinch of this and a pinch of that and all that. And that's the way I wrote it down, because she actually didn't do it like with a measuring cup. She just put it together, and whatever felt good, the way it looked. And I've been doing it ever since. And I'm still doing a pinch of this and a pinch of that. But it's delicious. And I remember my mother-in-law, she used to make a delicious cookies. We used to call it grandma's cookies. How did you make it? I'm not going to give it to you.
Oh.
But I don't think she knew. She didn't probably have any set recipe that you could write down. She probably did a pinch of this and a pinch of that. So it's good to have, like you said, recipes handed down. And but then you could make a lot of variation on those if you're a good cook.
Especially if the instructions say a pinch of this and a pinch of that. You might have to make variations on it.
Yes, it is very interesting. So has anyone written a book with a collection of all these little journals?
Many people have written books on journals. Journaling is becoming, people are beginning to see how much it can benefit their lives. I like to think of it like peanut oil. I remember learning when George Washington Carver discovered peanut oil. It could do everything. It could run cars, it could wash clothes. Well, that's how I feel about journaling. No matter what you do, no matter what your profession is, no matter what your problem is, it's a place to heal and dream and create, and mostly to learn to be honest with yourself and discover your voice. And I think once you have that, you're more comfortable in the world, and communication is much easier.
Oh, that's a problem so many times, communication. People have fights and they never talk to each other only because they didn't communicate well. It is a problem.
In that case, in situations of disagreements with people, a journal is a wonderful practice place to get out all the anger or misunderstanding before having a conversation with the person. It's really, it can be a testing ground, especially for creative people.
It is just so, and do they teach this in school?
Some teachers probably incorporate it in a small way in their program. I think it would be a wonderful thing if it could be taught, especially for adolescents.
Yes.
Because it really builds self-esteem. Over time, it shows, just as so many things like that George Washington Carver peanut oil, but it shows patterns. It builds self-esteem. It's a place to put the first tender seeds of a creative idea. I want to write a great book someday, but of course, I have no writing talent. Why would I want to do this? Working through all that stuff to maybe arrive at a point on the same page that says, well, so what about all that? This book wants to come out in me. Right, I'm going to write that book. In fact, I'm going to start right now. It can be, very energizing. It can also be a log for people. Someone going through medical problems, to have to keep up with what one doctor tells them and what prescription and when to take it and what their reaction was, and have it before breakfast but don't have it after food.
Yes, a lot of issues that we have to go through in everyday life, and we just don't discuss it. We just do it, and there's an underlying anxiety about it.
Yes.
So it would be very good to write everything down.
Sometimes I'll start to write in my journal, and I think I'm going to write about something, and it's just such a surprise that what actually I've written about or is on my subconscious and comes through pushed its way to the surface of that page. A good time to write is early in the morning, just when you wake up, because the subconscious is still a little bit awake, and one doesn't use what we call the internal censor to try to appear as being either literary or presenting themselves all dressed up and made up. The thing about a journal, like you said, your show is the play's the thing.
Yes.
I think it's the same Shakespeare play, but to thine own self be true. It's really about trying the process
It's from Hamlet.
the process
Yes.
of arriving at self-honesty.
Yeah, sometimes when I wake up, my dreams are so vivid that I really think that it was really happening. So if I would start writing, I would probably describe my dreams.
Some people keep just dream journals in which they do record their dreams. And watching the show being taped on Edith, she held up the little pillow book, she called it.
Yes.
And the Japanese women in the 11th century also had pillow books. They kept these books under their pillows, and whenever they found something sensuous or wonderful in life, they would write in their pillow book. I mean, it could be anything, like walking in a warm summer rain barefoot. And these books were passed on to their daughters and their granddaughters, who continued to write within them. A journal can be passed down for centuries. And some women, I guess men too, had their lives taken because during the Inquisition, if they wrote down herbal recipes, they were accused of being witches.
Sometimes you have to be careful what you write down.
Well, you do have to be very aware of confidentiality and of taking care of your book. That's an issue that everybody does ask. For children, is it right for a parent to read a child's journal? Is it right for a husband to read a wife's journal? No, not unless there's permission to do that. So if there's any chance that somebody isn't going to honor your privacy, then definitely be very vigilant about where you keep
it under lock and key. I have those little books that they're made for children. Some of those books come with a lock and key.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have several of those as meaning to give it as a gift, but it's under lock and key. That way no one could look into your heart and your mind.
That's a good point. However, I just had a will made up recently, and my lawyer asked, well, is there anything else you want to add to this? And I said, yes. I want it added that when I die, my son reads my journals at least once before he tosses them. And the lawyer said to me, you can't do that.
Well, that's your last wish. Why can't you have your last wish?
You can't force somebody to read something, but
you
can request it.
You could request it. You're not forcing. You could request it, and who knows, maybe he will dust it a few times before he'll read it, but he won't toss it. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Now, I've been also admiring that necklace you're wearing.
Thank you.
Did you make it yourself?
No. This is a very special necklace. It's my my creative magic confidence it gives me when I put it on. It was made by a woman named Monique, who has a website, which I can't remember at the moment, but I'd be glad to give to anybody. She lives in Holland. They're one of a kind. And they're just so simple and magical.
So when you wear it, you feel magical.
I do. I feel like there's enormous creative support around me.
Oh, well, I'm here. So are you from the Hamptons?
I've been in the Hamptons for 30 years now.
Right.
Goes quickly.
So you are here, you're a local, you're a permanent, you're not what you call a snowbird.
I'm not a snowbird. I live here year-round, but the word local, I think unless you're born here, you will never fit into the category of being
A local.
a real local.
Well, pardon me. Where were you born?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, Brooklyn. I remember. I know that place. I have resided there once. And how did you happen to emigrate to the Hamptons?
Even though I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, I actually didn't come to the Hamptons till I was in my 20s. And I had a friend, a writer who was out here and came to visit for a few days and wound up spending the next 30 years.
Some trick. That's when they say something about when you go to visit, don't stay too long. I guess you didn't overstay your welcome. Well, that's good. So a lot of interesting people settled here in the Hamptons. Well, I'm calling it my home also. But it's, of course, it took me a long time to get here. I had many different residences. But I'm very happy here. I really like it here, even when it's so crowded, like during the summer.
If you come from or grew up near a city, even that the crowds and the excitement, to me it's like home came to me again instead of, and it balances out during the year too.
Yes, it does. I mean, the only thing I mind about people coming is the traffic, because the people are fine. They are fine. They say more the merrier.
And the sirens.
And also a lot of artists come out to see us.
Well, it's understandable. Not just the natural, incredible, phenomenal beauty that's here, but the light, the ocean. Yesterday
And we.
Yes, of course.
And of course, LTV here with the play is the thing. Where can you find that? You said you give these classes. Where do you give the classes?
The next class will be at the Montauk Library. It's free to anyone who takes it. It starts September 14th. Sometime over the winter, the dates are not determined, we'll be having a repeat class at the John Germain Library. And next summer,
which is in Sag Harbor,
and in a beautiful domed room. And next summer at Guildhall, there will be a journal class specifically geared for artists, writers, dancers.
Guildhall, they have such wonderful, wonderful things. I do a lot of things with them, and I had several people on my show from Guildhall. Josh Gladstone and Ruth Applehoff.
Now, wasn't Josh one of your very first guests?
He was my very first guest, yes, he was. He was very daring. He just came, let's do it. And a lot of actors came from there. And now that they have a lot of shows from Hamlet, we were talking about before, a few actors came from there. So I don't know what else we could talk about, but the half hour is almost up. I keep saying that every time, that it goes so fast, and people who are not used to being interviewed, they're always worried, what can I talk about for half an hour? There is a lot to talk about, because everybody has a lot to say. Everybody has a history, a very interesting, each of us. Yes. Very interesting history. So I really feel like this is like a biography channel. It's not as long, but it's very informative, and a lot of people get to see people that they would never see any other time. So this is really was a very enlightening subject that you're into. I have never heard of it, but I think everybody should take part in it, because it's very self-fulfilling mostly. So thank you so much for coming, and don't forget to tune in here in the Hamptons. This is the LTV studios in Wainscott, and we are airing 3 times a week. Monday, 8 p.m., Thursday, 3 p.m., and Saturday, 1 p.m. And if you live west of here, then tune in Saturday at 1:30. I would like to thank everybody who had helped me, and Christine at the camera, and Lee Davis, the real Lee Davis, my director, and of course LTV Studios, Matt Hindrup, and Robert, I don't remember his other name. Isn't that awful? And I hope to, well, it was real wonderful having you. And we have to do this again sometime. And we'll talk some more later on. And what else can I say except goodbye? You want to wave? This is my send-off. Bye, everybody. Bye. See you again.